sat in my left, right pocket, watch this. These niggas broke boys, watch this, watch this. These niggas broke boys, watch this, watch this. I can make the whole crowd watch this.
Hey guys, what's up? Alright, so February's almost over, and just like last month, it's been another slow month of hardly any Sonic news. And yeah, besides Kishimoto tweeting a lot, and like I said before, I don't like covering all that unless if it's very important. But you know, Kishimoto's just being nice and responding to as many tweets as he can. So I'm not taking everything he says as like the truth, especially when someone asked him about if the Freedom Fighters from the Archie comics are coming into Sonic games. Like, that's never happened. But I am still very certain that we are getting the first wave of Sonic Frontiers DLC next month in March. It has to happen in March. Everyone's being silent about it. You know, Sega's actually doing a pretty good job of keeping their stuff from actually leaking. So I have to commend them this time. They've been doing a good job this year because shit has been dry. But there are some things that I do want to talk about. So let's get straight to it. But before I do, be sure to smash that like button, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Right now we have 91k subs, less than 9,000 subscribers left until the big 100,000. So let's see if we can get to 100k before June. Now, alright, ever since Sonic Frontiers came out and we realized that, wait, a lot of the things from the IDW comics are canon. You know, Sonic mentions Tangle. I don't know what other IDW characters he mentions. I don't know if it's Starline or something, but it's clear now that Sonic IDW Comics is canon with the games. So that begs the question, when will we actually get the Sonic IDW Comics connecting with the games or adapting like Sonic Frontiers in the comics? Well, a couple months ago, there was a Q&A with Evan Stanley and Ian Flynn regarding the comic Sonic Frontiers Prologue Convergence. So this person, Enrama, asks, will Sonic Frontiers or Convergence have any impact on other IDW Sonic titles? And Flynn says the IDW series follows the course set by the game material, so their events will inform future events. That said, the IDW series explores a lot of other aspects of Sonic's world, so those effects may not show up immediately. So this is very coded language. Now, we already know the IDW comics draws from the game canon a lot. You know, there's nothing there that's like, wait, this never happened in the games. But he's saying that the IDW series will explore a lot of other aspects from Sonic's world, and those effects may not show up immediately. So I think it's about time that the comics connects to the game canon. Like, when the IDW comics started, it was 2018, right after Sonic Forces came out in 2017. So I would like to see an arc set before or after. I would like to see one set after the events of Sonic Frontiers. You know, I don't need to see Sonic Frontiers retold in the IDW comics. That will just be a waste of time when we have the game. But I would like an issue to take place after Frontiers, you know, like a little time skip. And Sega's making more efforts now to bring all the main canons together. You know, that includes Styx as well, because Styx the Badger has been in the Olympic Games. So, I mean, forget about her being in Sonic Boom. She's been in the party games, Olympic games, so I already knew that Sega was going to find a way to bring her in the game canon. Now, she's not going to be the same as she was in Sonic Boom, but we have yet to see that. But I would like to see how Styx is interpreted in the game canon, or even the IDW comics. And also, Sega's even hired a lore master or lore associate manager a while ago last year to make sure everything is nice and tidy and everything connects well, and they can bring all the canons that they want together. You know, obviously not the Archie comics and not the Boom universe, but yeah. You know, the Sonic Archie comics, when they were running, they always, you know, connected to the previous games. They always adapted every single big major Sonic game that came out, you know, from Lost World, or I think Generations, and even Colors, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, Unleash. They definitely did Unleash and the Werehog. Obviously, they didn't do that with Sonic Forces because the last Sonic Archie comic issue came out in December 2016, and then Sega announced its cancellation on July 2017. You know, that was 4 months before Forces came out. But they did, however, do a Sonic Forces prequel tie-in comics, which was 4 parts in digital only. That was produced by Sega, and the story was leagues better than the game. And of course, they did the same thing with Sonic Frontiers Prologue, Convergence. But I always felt that was a little necessary and was nowhere near as good as the Forces tie-in comics. You know, for one thing, it was only like a couple pages, like I think 4 pages or something like that. So it just set up the short events before, you know, the intro in Sonic Frontiers, nothing big. And also the anime short, Sonic Frontiers Prologue Divergence, which everyone loved, but that could have easily been implemented in the IDW comics and given more lore. And it kind of sucks that that anime short is not in Sonic Frontiers Deluxe Edition, because like we've gotten all the shorts in Sonic Origins, we had even Mania Adventures and all that. Like, why couldn't we get Sonic Frontiers Prologue Divergence in the, you know, Sonic Frontiers game? That doesn't make any sense. And even the comics too, it just, I don't know how Sega goes about things when they market. I just don't understand. So yeah, that could have easily been implemented in the IDW comics and given more lore to build up to Frontiers. But remember back then, like, we all thought that Sega was separating the IDW comics with the games, especially this video I made back then about it. So I thought they were neglecting the IDW comics, only for the game to come out and Sonic, you know, candidly mentioning Tangle and all that. So there has to be more connectivity. Now, similar to the Sonic IDW comics starting after Sonic Forces, the Dragon Ball Super manga began after the first 2 films, you know, the first 2 DBZ films or arcs, Battle of Gods and Resurrection F. But unlike the IDW comics, the manga has connected to the latest 2 movies, Dragon Ball Super Broly and Dragon Ball Super Superhero. You know, and they're even adapting a part of Superhero into a filler arc. Apparently they're already finished. Now, while it's not a retelling of the movie Superhero, it's a little side story that takes place around that period. So it's following Goten and Trunks in high school. And a lot of the characters look interesting and all that. So this is what the IDW Sonic comics needs to do. You know, we need an arc that's based on the Starfall Islands or the Ancients, etc. And right now, we just finished the Surge Saga, or the Imposter Syndrome Saga, or Eggman's Legacy Saga, however you want to call it. And I haven't read the latest issue yet that came out, but right now it feels like they're just aimlessly doing filler stories that don't really go anywhere. Overall, I prefer the previous Metal Virus Saga because that had more direction and focus. You know, I mean, you could tell Ian Flynn really loved that, since that was supposed to be implemented in the Archie comics before it got canceled. Now that everything's canon, the games can help bring and maintain that focus with the comics, especially since these games come out once every couple years, and it takes around 1 to 2 years for a saga to finish in the comics. So this needs to happen. You know, this will also help the Sonic IDW comics sell a lot better, because I've been hearing things about them being in trouble because of low sales, and I don't want to see this comic series get canceled like Archie. But they need to give people a reason to buy them, because right now it's only in the Sonic bubble. You know, when they first started, they got a lot of buzz, especially the Metal Virus Saga, because it came out around the time of the pandemic. But now, you know, the sales have kind of gone down a lot, and you know, a lot of Sonic fans are young and broke, so they don't really buy these comics. And since Sonic Frontier sold extremely well, you know, almost 3 million copies so far, this in turn will make the IDW comics sell very well if they incorporate the stories with the games. By the way, someone also mentioned, you know, Big's fishing section, Sonic Frontiers. One of the things that Sonic, you know, catches when he fishes is a silver acorn. So one person said, is that supposed to be like a Easter egg of the Metal Virus Saga? Because the silver acorn, you know, when the metal virus was infecting everything, both plant life and animal and human life. So I don't know if that's like a reference to the metal virus, but I don't know. You guys can maybe ask Ian Flynn about that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Sonic Unleashed plot hole for Frontiers. I think I briefly mentioned this before, but I want to go more in depth with this. Now, there's an article here that says Sonic Frontier sets a helpful precedent for past franchise lore. Now, the different approach to story interconnectivity that Sonic Frontiers brought up opens the door for more Sonic games referencing past lore. So Sonic Frontiers did a lot of good for the Sonic franchise. While not a perfect game by any means, it set up a solid base for moving forward after the franchise has been spinning its wheels for years. Sonic Frontiers incorporated some of the elements that made the Sonic Adventure titles memorable, while also integrating the speed and scale of a modern boost game. Because of this, it feels like the Sonic franchise has finally found its footing after stumbling between failures and successes with no clear direction. Now let's skip over this paragraph. In essence, Sonic Frontiers has recontextualized the whole franchise. While there have always been elements of mysticism and space travel, Frontiers makes it clear that the Sonic universe is much larger and older than anyone previously knew. As it turns out, the Chaos Emeralds, their guardian Chaos itself, and the Chao are all remnants of the ancient civilization that escaped to Sonic's planet after their own fell. What pursued them, self-identified as the End, is seemingly defeated at the end of Sonic Frontiers, but there's plenty of room for something that powerful to come back. It's a good story hook, but not the only one. Now that concepts from classic Sonic games like Angel Island and much of Sonic Adventure's plot have been revisited, the door is open for more to be done with Sonic's older titles, for better and for worse. Many Sonic games introduce mechanics and plot points that end up being one and done. The Sonic franchise has needed a firmer timeline, or at least solid lore statements, so that the average fan isn't confused over whether the games take place on an Earth or another world called Mobius. You know, I'm so glad Sega also got rid of the whole two worlds concept thing, so I'm glad that they're, cleaning up the lore and making it more cohesive. Plus, tying old concepts into present plots can be satisfying if done well, so it's worth looking into. Now, there are tons of loose story threads future Sonic games could use. Many paths to relevancy exist for Sonic's old lore. For example, the Master Emerald apparently being native to Sonic's planet would still give it some relevance even compared to the Ancients and their Chaos Emeralds. It would also justify any mention of Light Gaia and Dark Gaia from Sonic Unleashed. Oh yeah. As another example, Dr. Eggman has gone through many robots over the years, and there's plenty of room for certain ones like Mecha Sonic, Metal Sonic, and the wrecked hulls or salvage operations for Eggman's many airships to populate specific environments. Sonic's extended friend gallery is open for collaboration, and there's even the possibility of revisiting Emerald or Gemerald, the Gizoids, and their own lost civilization. Alternatively, there's no need to restrict the Hedgehog's adventures to familiar ground anymore. Sonic and friends could set off into the depths of space, potentially meeting up with a variety of familiar faces like Sonic TD's time-distorting Little Planet and the Wisps from Sonic Colors. No thanks. There could even be another branch of the Black Arms out there somewhere, or at least some explanation that sheds light on their motivations or knowledge of the wider universe. Sonic Frontiers, drawing upon older titles, has set up the Sonic franchise for future story ideas just as much as its gameplay has, and fans are eager to see where these developments lead. Exactly, not many people have talked about this, but does Sonic Frontiers retcon or contradict Sonic Unleashed? I don't know, because Light and Dark Gaia, Light Gaia's ultimate form is all the temples combined, which basically makes him a Titan. He was very huge. Now, I mentioned this before, but did the Ancients build him like they built the Titans? That can't be true since Light Gaia is a deity, or god. So were the Ancients inspired by him? And also, the Gaia temples hold Chaos Emeralds, as well as the ancient Chaos Emerald altars and Frontiers. So which came first? Now, I can't believe no Sonic fan has asked Ian Flynn this question yet, so I'll try to explain it, but it's not explicitly stated who built the temples, but humans guarded, and each continent has their own culture since it's based on our world. So each temple is based on the country's culture. Now, the Ancients definitely predate the humans, of course, meaning that their Chaos altars were before the Gaia temples. But the Gaia manuscripts were made tens of thousands of years ago, so before humans. It might be the Ancients or another alien race that created the Gaia manuscripts and wrote them. However, with the aid of the 7 Chaos Emeralds, these temples can bring the world back together when it's broken into pieces by Dark Gaia during the time of awakening. So they have a strong connection to Light Gaia. So the emeralds don't need to constantly be in the temples, only for when the world gets broken up, and when the two Gaias fight each other, which happens every several thousand years. So this actually does not contradict Sonic Frontiers that much if you think about it. But yeah, Ian Flynn really needs to explain this. I don't know why no one's asked him this question about Sonic Unleashed and Sonic Frontiers, because it's already stated in Tales 2 that the humans live in the big continent cities, whereas the anthropomorphs live in the islands and stuff like South Island, West Island, Angel Island, Christmas Island, all that stuff. So what do you guys think about all this? Do you think that Sonic Unleashed and Frontiers goes together perfectly and they don't contradict each other? Do you think that, the Ancients were inspired to build the Titans from Light Gaia? And also, do you think that the Ancients altars, the Chaos Emerald altars, predate the Gaia temples? Let me know down in the comments below. Also, this is kind of off topic, but as you guys know, Susan Wojcicki stepped down from being the CEO of YouTube, so she's replaced by some other guy. I don't know. But I hope they do fix Kappa, because Kappa's going crazy on animations. Since the last year, anything animation, especially if it's Sonic, they're going to market for kids, even if it's not meant for kids. Like Sonic Frontiers Prologue Divergence, as you can see, it's marked for kids. And they tried to do that with Sonic Rebound Episode 6. Like, when I woke up, I realized that it was marked for kids for like 3 to 4 hours. So I had to submit an appeal, and I was like, yo, this is definitely not meant for kids, only because like Rouge, you know, shows a lot of cleavage and fan service, and there's some cuss words in this episode. Shadow says damn it. And the moment I submitted that, like within 10 to 15 minutes, they removed the mark for kids. So, you know, the comments have been restored. So I was like, yes, I knew this day would come, and I am so glad that, you know, there was fan service and cussing in Sonic Rebound Episode 6. I don't want Sonic Rebound to only be kiddie focused. You know, it's meant for all ages, especially since it's inspired by shonen anime. It's supposed to be meant for the older crowd, teens and up. That's why there's more fan service, and Episode 6 is a bit edgier. Alright guys, that's all I have for now, so take care, and until next time, I'm out.